That's 2 times. 2 times Al Green was thrown out of the State of the Union address. That's definitely a record. That's definitely 2 times back to back. I don't know, maybe someone else has been thrown out of the State of the Union address twice, but I don't know if it's ever been back to back. And I guess, yes, technically last year's speech was not the State of the Union. It was President Donald Trump's address to Congress. But you know what? I'm just going to count it as such. I'm just going to count it. And I'll be honest with you. I'm going to be honest with you. To me, it looks like it says, black people rent apes. Let me find it here. Where is it? Yeah. To me, it says, I'm looking at this sign, right? I saw it on TV. To me, it reads, black people rent apes. That's what it looks like to me. Apparently, it was black people aren't apes. Like are not, would you be, hyphen. Black people aren't apes. But Al Green, who last time around, you may remember, got thrown out of the State of the Union for waving his cane, raising cane. He was raising his cane like the head of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, the chairman. But he was raising his cane. He got thrown out because he was attacking President Donald Trump verbally. And so this time around, he brought in a sign that said, black people aren't apes. The problem is he held his hand over the A and the apostrophe wasn't very pronounced. So to me, it reads, black people rent apes, which I thought was weird and bizarre. Later on, after some investigating, I realized he wrote black people aren't apes. Either way, doesn't matter, man. He got booted. He got thrown out. It has to be some kind of record for how quickly he got thrown out. I didn't even time it, but the speech started, and within like maybe a minute and a half, here he is, yeah. Here he is with his little sign, his little roll-up sign. He's walking out the aisle.
And we will never go back to where we were.
Yeah, and then Donald Trump's like, whatever, I'm just going to keep going with my... Donald Trump's like, I'm going to keep going with my speech. Get this guy out of here with his ridiculous sign. I'm going to get on my speech. I'll be honest with you, the State of the Union, great speech last night. If you missed it, nothing, you can go back and watch it. We'll highlight it. And I want to get a lot of the reaction today, because really the reaction, what Donald Trump did yesterday during the State of the Union was he lit the Democratic Party on fire. He basically, they lit themselves on fire too. But what Donald Trump did was Donald Trump held up a match, right? And several times through the speech, he struck a match and he held it up and he was like, what are you going to do, Democrats? Here's a match. And the Democrats could have blown it out and there would have been no problem. But instead, the Democrats doused themselves with gasoline and then grabbed the match out of his hand and lit themselves on fire. And now their party's basically charred and an inferno. It's basically just ash. They've been reduced to ashes by President Donald Trump because he set them up over and over again and set them up repeatedly, and they just took the bait. He took the bait. At one point, Donald Trump couldn't even believe it. The Democrats acted so badly, so inappropriately, so unpatriotically, so un-American, so heartless, soulless, and demonic that at one point, Donald Trump couldn't even stand anymore. He just said, you people are crazy.
Crazy, I'm telling you. They're crazy. These people are crazy, I'm telling you. They're crazy.
He couldn't even stand it anymore. And he couldn't stand that they weren't standing. There comes a point when you have to realize, if I do A, I will make my point, but I will also look like the most ridiculous person in the world, and I will lose whatever credibility I had. And that was the Democrats all night long. And that was President Donald Trump basically setting him up. Just basically setting him up. And we're going to get to all the reaction from CNN. We're going to get to the reaction from John Fetterman. We're going to get to the reaction from some of the lunatics. Donald Trump had reaction to, what was it? It was, hold on, where is it? I have it here. It was Ilhan Omar and Rashida Tlaib. They just started crazy, like yelling crazy stuff when Donald Trump was talking about Somali pirates and whatnot.
That is why I'm also asking you to end deadly sanctuary cities that protect the criminals and enact serious penalties for public officials who blocked the removal of...
She's yelling, you have killed Americans. Donald Trump is talking about Minneapolis, Minnesota. He's talking about the fraud in Minneapolis, Minnesota. He's talking about the Somali pirates ransacking our treasury and stealing billions of dollars. And then he talks about the danger of sanctuary cities. And Ilhan Omar starts screaming and yelling, you have killed Americans. You have killed Americans.
Protect the criminals and enact serious penalties for public officials who block the removal of criminal aliens.
Yeah, not only that, by the way, Rashida Tlaib, who's sitting next to Ilhan Omar, at one point, everybody was chanting USA, USA, and she was caught on camera mouthing KKK. USA. And then here she is, look, KKK, KKK. And I thought maybe she was like a big fan of the show, like Mark KKK. But no, she was chanting, everyone's chanting USA, USA. Rashida Tlaib is chanting KKK, KKK. And so Donald Trump had to issue a statement on Truth Social about the two of them. And he wrote, when you watch low IQ Ilhan Omar and Rashida Tlaib as they screamed uncontrollably last night at the very elegant State of the Union, such an important and beautiful event, they had the bulging, bloodshot eyes of crazy people. Lunatics, mentally deranged and sick who frankly look like they should be institutionalized. When people can behave like that and knowing that they are crooked and corrupt politicians, so bad for our country. We should send them back from where they came as fast as possible. They can only damage the United States of America. They can do nothing to help it. They should actually get on a boat with Trump deranged Robert De Niro, another sick and demented person with, I believe, an extremely low IQ, who has absolutely no idea what he is doing or saying, some of which is seriously criminal. When I watched him break down in tears last night, much like a child would do, I realized that he may be even sicker than crazy Rosie O'Donnell, who is right now in Ireland trying to figure out how to come back into our beautiful United States. The only difference between De Niro and Rosie is that she is probably somewhat smarter than him, which isn't saying much. The good news is that America is now bigger, better, richer, and stronger than ever before, and it's driving them absolutely crazy. President Donald J. Trump. So that's President Donald Trump starting in. I love how he goes. I love his thought process. He starts in on Ilhan Omar and Rashida Tlaib and just I mean, they're crazy. They're lunatics. They're maniacal.
These people are crazy. I'm telling you, they're crazy.
Yeah. And then, of course, that leads him into Robert De Niro, which, of course, leads him into Rosie O'Donnell. And he posted all on Truth Social, which I thought was phenomenal. But that was their reaction live during the State of the Union. Al Green got tossed for having a weird sign. Ilhan Omar started yelling, "You're killing people." Rashida Tlaib started chanting KKK, KKK. What was really despicable, though, was how most of the gallery, the Democrats, just refused to stand. And Donald Trump he set them up to fail. This was Donald Trump just basically handed the midterms to a lot of Republicans who maybe were in tight races. And the Democrats have the worst optics heading into the election because Donald Trump set them up to fail. He literally asked them, are you here to represent Americans or illegal aliens? Here's what happened.
As we ensure that all Americans can profit from a rising stock market, let's also ensure that members of Congress cannot corruptly profit from using insider information. They stood up for that. I can't believe it.
That's also, hold on, that's also the wrong clip. I got to get to, where's the right clip here? I thought that was it. Here it is, right here.
If you agree with this statement, then stand up and show your support. The first duty of the American government is to protect American citizens, not illegal aliens.
And this was the longest sustained applause that Donald Trump got all night. And of course, the Democrats don't stand. And Donald Trump's like, what are you doing? And he's like waving. I'm like, come on, get up. Come on, get up. He's like, what are you guys doing? Everybody look at these guys. None of these people are standing. No, they're not standing. What am I supposed to do? I told them, if you're here to represent the people, stand. If you're here to represent illegal aliens, stay seated. Look at them all. They're all just sitting down. There's nothing I can do about it. I gave them an opening. And it just went on and on and on. Nobody stood on the Democrat side of the aisle, and Donald Trump stared them down. Just glared at them the whole time. Everybody did. All the Republicans are chanting and hooting and hollering, and they're clapping. And the Democrats just sit there on their hands. They refuse to get up and say, yes, I was elected to represent the people of the United States of America. Yes, I was elected for... Look at Mark Kelly. Mark Kelly is... What a fall from... That guy was an astronaut. Now he's just... an astronaut without the tronaut. That guy, what a fall from grace he had. Astronaut, American hero, senator. His wife was, in the terrible accident, attack. And now he's just sitting there like a crumpled old man. It just looks horrible. And Donald Trump, of course, is waiting out the applause, which seems to never end, until he finally says... everybody was thinking the same thing, and Donald Trump finally says
it. Isn't that a shame? You should be ashamed of yourself.
You should be ashamed of yourself. You should be ashamed of yourself. They're not ashamed of them. They have no shame. You have to have shame to be ashamed, and that's the problem. The Democrats have zero shame. No shame whatsoever. None. Zip, zero, zilch, squat, squatta. There was one moment when everybody stood. It was the stock trading clip, which I just played. And that was it. They didn't even stand when Donald Trump was talking about Irina. I always mispronounce her last name. But Donald Trump was like, stand up for Irina, who got stabbed in Charlotte. Her mom's there. And it was, hold on, I have it right here. Irina's mom was there. They talked about the stabbing. They talked about how this guy never should have been on the streets. He was a murderer. He was a career criminal wandering around out there. And Donald Trump said, what is wrong with you people? How do you not stand?
Last summer, 23-year-old Irina was riding home on the train when a deranged monster who had been arrested over a dozen times and was released through no cash bail stood up and viciously slashed a knife through her neck and body. No one will ever forget there were people on that train. No one will ever forget the expression of terror on Irina's face as she looked up at her attacker in the last seconds of her life. She died instantly. She had escaped a brutal war only to be slain by a hardened criminal, set free to kill in America, came in through open borders. Mrs. Zaretsky, tonight I promise you we will ensure justice for your magnificent daughter, Irina.
Very sad and tender moment. Everybody's standing except...
How do you not stand? How do you not stand?
It's almost unbelievable. Like the first time Donald Trump said, if you agree with this statement, please stand. And they didn't. That was political theater. It was great political theater, but it was political theater. Donald Trump orchestrated that moment because Donald Trump knew in that moment, if he told the Democrats, stand if you believe you're elected to support American citizens and not illegal aliens, he knew the Democrats would not stand and he would win. But this was not an orchestrated political moment. This was talking about a grieving mother whose daughter survived the war in Ukraine, came to Charlotte, and was killed by an illegal criminal who was roaming around the streets. Not locked up, not deported, not back home, not back in the insane asylum, wandering around on the streets, on the train, stabbing innocent women to death on their way home. And this mom is there getting the honors and the praise and the grace of everybody in the chamber except the Democrats. And it's not political. And Donald Trump is like, God, how do you not stand for that? How do you not stand?
How do you not stand? How do you not stand?
That's when the Democrats crossed. That's when they crossed over. That's when they crossed over from protesters to just disgusting people. I don't even know. From protest, you think, okay, These people are trying to make a political point against a president that they disagree with. Fine. But at that point, they were just soulless, lifeless, heartless carcasses of people. You could tell at that moment that the Democrat Party has absolutely no moral value. The Democrat Party has absolutely no sense of purpose or humanity. The Democrat Party, to not stand for that woman when everyone else was standing, shows that none of those people are in it for anyone else other than themselves. Every single one of those people in that gallery, they are there for themselves. Mark Kelly, there for himself. Ilhan Omar, there for herself. Rashida Tlaib, there for herself. They are there for themselves, for their own purposes, for their own propriety, for their own clicks and links and fundraising. They are not in it for America. They're not in it for their constituents, and they're not in it for anybody. Anyone would stand for that. It's just the craziest thing. CNN's Scott Jennings was hosting with Van Jones, and they had a panel of voters in, and they asked the voters, what do you think about the Democrats being horrible people? Here's
I think the part of the speech that's probably going to live on for most Republicans is when he asked the Congress, stand up if you think your duty is first to American citizens before illegal aliens. Republicans stood up. It gave him his most sustained applause for the night. I suspect, man, you're going to see this in a lot of campaign ads, that Democrats wouldn't stand up. What did you all think of the showmanship of that, or of sort of the spectacle of trying to get Democrats to stand up for that?
Well, I think the point, I think that you know, and it may have gotten a little muddled, but, you know, in the showmanship, but I think his point is valid. Everybody in that room represents the citizens in this country. And are you doing your job? He should, you know, the governor asked, is Trump doing his job? Trump asked, are all of you doing your job?
Yeah, and nobody stood up. Those are swing state voters, by the way, that they got together. John Fetterman had a reaction to it, too. And, of course, John Fetterman, who's the only sensible Democrat, the Democrat who suffered a stroke, lost almost all motor function in his brain, had a slow recovery. He's still the smartest Democrat there is.
You know, the constant kinds of yelling and screaming and holding up signs and for doing all these things. I don't care if it's a Republican or Democrat as a president. Just don't do that. Don't do that. Respect the office, regardless who's in that. And now for me, it's like now when half the people in my party haven't showed up, and then some of them have chosen to just yell and say and scream during all of it. I just don't think that's what we want. And I don't believe, as a Democrat, I think like dancing frogs really moves the ball for us as a party either.
Oh yeah, the dancing. I almost forgot about the dancing. Thank you, John Fetterman, for reminding me about the dancing frogs. John Fetterman saying the Democrat Party, they failed on multiple levels. First of all, they brought in signs. They were yelling and screaming that the Donald Trump is a murderer. They were not standing up. It was a horrible look for them. The people that were watching, which is a lot of people, are going to remember this. And then, oh yeah, there was a counter protest out at the Lincoln Memorial that a dozen or so people showed up to, and they had dancing frogs there.
I'm a mother. I'm a physician, and I have a flag.
Yeah.
And I am the proud representative for Oregon's 3rd Congressional District. Yes, thank you. Thank you.
You may remember her. She's the one that yelled F Donald Trump.
I defy Trump and his authoritarian project by standing in joyful, radical, peaceful resistance with the Portland Frog Brigade.
Yay. It's not all, though. They had a giraffe, too. Do you remember this guy?
I'm fresh out of an ICE prison in Minneapolis. I've been arrested 3 times by ICE over absurdity, over us being ourselves, over me singing songs like, hey, Mr. Tangerine Man, get rid of brown people for me. I'm Aryan white. There ain't no place I'm going to. And then all of a sudden, he's not ready for primetime player ICE agents with 2 weeks of training come after me. I got arrested in Portland. I got arrested in Minneapolis in the last 3 weeks twice. But they can't erase a movement, all right?
Yeah, all right, but they can arrest him, but they can't erase him. I'd rather they erase him than arrest him. I'm gonna be honest with you, because the song's horrible, and I'm a big fan of giraffes, and he's ruining my love of giraffes. Let me just put it out. My family and I, we've always been big giraffe fans, and I hate to see that guy dressed as a giraffe. Frogs are okay too, but definitely giraffes. James Carville, the Ragin' Cajun, who orchestrated the entire Clintonian presidency, Monica Lewinsky and all. James Carville, you know that Donald Trump had a great speech because James Carville lost his mind. You know Donald Trump did a great job at the State of the Union because James Carville became unhinged, more unhinged than usual. You know that Donald Trump did an amazing job at the State of the Union, the longest one ever, by the way. Longest State of the Union in history. Bill Clinton's record be darned. Bill Clinton had the longest speech, the longest State of the Union in history. Donald Trump just smashed through it. And James Carville just lost his mind.
I have a personal message for Donald John Trump. And you sit still, you son of a bitch, when I'm telling you this. I'm going to tell you right where you are, you fat, sorry. People hate you. Now, let me give you, and I'm not just saying this because I'm right where you are, you fat, sorry sack. People hate you.
I mean, is that not the pot calling the kettle black? I mean, come on. James Carville saying, Donald Trump, I got a message for you. People hate you. That's James Carville. Got a message for you, buddy. You, Clinton, everybody else in your administration. Who's that other smarmy guy you worked with that's on the news? Stephanopoulos. we don't like any of you people.
Now, let me give you, and I'm not just saying this because I don't like you. I'm saying this because I'm telling you what's happening to you right now. And get ready to tell you what's going on. First of all, everybody is stabbing you in the back.
Okay. So then he goes on for like 4 minutes. That's a 4-minute rant by James Carville. 4 minutes. James Carville rants and raves about President Donald Trump after the State of the Union because they thought that he did. Here's the thing. He did a great job. And you can tell by the unhinged reaction from the left. CBS even said, CBS News, think about this. CBS News, who Donald Trump just sued for $16 million and settled out of court. CBS News, who altered the Kamala Harris interview on 60 Minutes so that it would make her look less dumb than she actually is. CBS News, which has attacked President Donald Trump over and over and over again. They even said, this doesn't make the Democrats look good.
We have Major here at the table. I want to bring the conversation back here to our group watching along. Major, you've seen a lot of these, I think, more than any of us. What stood out to you?
Well, look, before the speech, many Republicans said one of the priorities for the president was to make sure Americans after this speech had a sense that the opposition party was off the rails, was crazy. Their terminology, not mine. Many of the contrasts the president articulated tonight were to drive that message forward. That not only do I disagree with the opposition party sitting before me in Congress, but I disagree with them so strongly and they with me so much that they can't even applaud basic common sense thing. And that line that you mentioned, that he added to the speech, whether it was ad-libbed or not, the first obligation, American citizens versus illegal aliens, was meant to create a visual moment of perpetual contrast.
And that's exactly what it was. That's a great way to put it. A visual moment, a perpetual contrast. Donald Trump basically summed up the election last night at the State of the Union address when he said, hey, show of hands, or rather show of standing ups. Stand up if you're for Americans, remain seated if you're for illegal aliens. And he couldn't have made it clearer. You don't have to be able to read. You don't have to be able to understand English. You don't have to be able to do any of those things. You got the message. The Democrats did not stand for United States citizens. They sat down, which means they care more about illegal aliens. At least the ones who were there. A lot of them skipped it so that they could go hang out with the frogs and the giraffes in the park. The message has never been clearer. Every single Democrat stayed seated. Here it is one more time. Listen carefully. Here's Donald Trump one more time. Hold on, wait a minute. If you agree with the statement.
If you agree with this statement, then stand up and show your support. The first duty of the American government is to protect American citizens, not illegal aliens.
The first duty of the American government, not Republicans, not Democrats. The first duty of the American government, all encompassing, is to protect Americans, not illegal aliens. That was what Donald Trump said. Here's what happened. Republicans jump up. J.D. Vance jumps up. Kat Kamek, by the way, Kat Kamek is sitting with the Supreme Court for some reason, and she's not sitting with the Republican. I tried to text her. I didn't hear back yet. I'm like, I got to know, why are you sitting with the Supreme Court? Everybody thought she would. There was a dude that thought she was a Democrat. Here, look, here's Kat Kamek. She's in the pink dress. She's to the left of the Supreme Court. So she's kind of sitting on the left side of the aisle. And every time Donald Trump says something, she gets up, she starts cheering, she starts clapping. Mark Kelly sits there, and here's we're zooming in on her. There's Kat Kamek in all her glory, just cheering and yelling and screaming. And I'm writing her the whole time. I know she didn't have her phone on her, but I'm writing her going, why are you sitting there? She's looking back at the Democrats. Well, look at this. This was funny. Some guy wrote, where is it? Hang on, I got it here somewhere. Here we go. Okay, this is Jake Hilton from the DEMS Slayer wrote, okay, I got to know, who is this woman in the red dress? Whoever she is, I applaud, for her having the courage to stand up in support of her nation and her president, even when the vast majority of her party, the Democrats, refuse to. So look, she's sitting right behind John Roberts. She's sitting right behind Brett Kavanaugh and Amy Coney Barrett, and John Roberts was there. She's sitting with the Supreme Court on the left-hand side of the aisle, and she gets up and cheers just like the Republicans do, and this guy, Jake Hilton, thought she was. So I texted her.
This is just a
oh, wait a minute. What's going on here? So I texted her. I'm like, hey, this dude thinks you're a Democrat. Hey, why? I haven't heard back. Like I said, it's a busy day there. I'm going to try to get an answer as to why she was sitting on that side of the aisle, because inquiry minds really want to know. But that must have also really, she just had a baby, so maybe she wanted an aisle seat. That could be it. Maybe she, you just have a baby, you have to go pump or go to the bathroom or something. She didn't want to have it. So maybe she had an aisle seat for that reason. I don't know. Again, I don't really know. But the reaction to all of these things was Donald Trump won and the Democrats lost. And again, we know that Donald Trump won and we know the Democrats lost because the Democrats, after they lost in the chamber, went outside and they lost their minds. And one of them was this woman. What's her name? Janelle, I forget her last name, but she said, not at all shocking, that Donald Trump asking people to stand up for Americans was, wait for it, racist.
What did you think about that moment when the president was asking Democrats to stand up for American citizens during that part of the speech when he was talking about immigration and immigration enforcement efforts?
I think you can agree with the what, like standing up for American citizens, but I disagree with the how. And so it's always about how do we bring our country together, but not stand on the backs of others. There's thinly veiled racist language, anti-immigrant language in what he was asking, and that was uncomfortable.
There's racist language, anti-immigrant language. It was uncomfortable. Racist. Donald Trump says, hey, let me know if you agree with this statement. If you agree with the statement, I want you to get up. If you disagree with the statement, just stay seated. Should our government focus on American citizens? Yes or no? That's racist to the Democrats. That's racist to Janelle Bynum. The Democrats go, Donald Trump he wants people to stand up for Americans. God, that's racist. Not as racist, by the way, as Gavin Newsom saying, I'm like all y'all. I sucked on my SATs too. I'm like all y'all. I only got a 960 and I can't read speeches. It's not as racist as him pandering to the African-American voters by pretending to be dumb in school. That's not racist at all. But Donald Trump saying, hey, legislators, elected officials, stand up if you believe that your first duty should be to the United States of America and her citizens. That, my friends, is racist. That's racist. Chuck Schumer called it delusional. He was on the floor of the Senate today talking about Donald Trump's speech, and he just couldn't believe it.
President, last night was not America's State of the Union. It was Donald Trump's state of delusion. BT
Dubs, has he not used, I think he's used that line before, hasn't he? I feel like he's plagiarizing himself. I want to go back in the archives later on and check to see if he used that line before, because it sounded familiar.
For 2 long hours, the president stood in the House chamber, congratulating himself, inflating his own ego, but offering no solutions to our country's many problems. He's in a bubble. He doesn't even have a clue about what the average American family is going through. Donald Trump patted himself on the back so many times, I thought he'd fall down. While Donald Trump kept claiming...
That doesn't even make sense. Do you fall down if you pat yourself on the back? Hold on, I gotta hear that one again. That didn't make sense.
About what the average American family is going through. Donald Trump patted himself on the back so many times, I thought he'd fall down. While Donald Trump kept claiming that America is back.
I don't understand that one. If you pat yourself on the back, do you fall? We'll figure that one out.
And that we're, quote, winning so much we don't know what to do about it. That's only half true. We are not winning so much, but he sure has no idea what to do about the problems in America. And he admitted it right there himself.
I think he said we're winning so much. He doesn't. Okay, here's the actual clip. By the way, this was a great point too. This was when Donald Trump came out, and because it wasn't all sticking it to the Dems. There was a lot of celebratory stuff, which we should talk about. Donald Trump came out, first of all, reassuring everybody that the State of the Union is strong.
And for all of these reasons, I say tonight, members of Congress, the state of our union is strong.
Woo! Yeah! Woo! Yeah, there you go. State of our union is strong. I say this to you, members of Congress. The state of our union is strong. And then he said the thing about winning, which is right before he brought out the gold medal U.S. men's hockey team.
Our country is winning again. In fact, we're winning so much that we really don't know what to do about it. People are asking me, please, 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 Mr. President, we're winning too much. We can't take it anymore. We're not used to winning in our country. Until you came along, we're just always losing, but now we're winning too much. And I say, no, 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 you're going to win again. You're going to win big. You're going to win bigger than ever. And to prove that point, here with us tonight is a group of winners who just made the entire nation proud. The men's gold medal Olympic hockey team. Come on in.
Yay, look at that. Look at them. There's the gold medal hockey team. Woo! USA. USA. Look at that. And they've got their gold medals and they've got their cool sweaters and they're standing in the press gallery and the press looks really annoyed. They're not even looking at half the press is just typing. They're not even looking at them. They're just like, why are all these beefcake dudes here? And there's Jack Hughes. And that was a fantastic moment. It got better because Donald Trump then announced that the goalie Connor, what's his name? Something I forget. But Connor, the goalie, is getting the Congressional Medal of Freedom. You know what? I'll play that. That's a great moment too because he actually started to choke up a little bit.
I will soon be presenting Connor with our highest civilian honor, which we will be given and which has been given to many athletes over the years. But when I say many, not too many, like 12, it's called the highest civilian honor in our country, the Presidential Medal of Freedom.
Yay! Hellebuck, by the way. Connor Hellebuck is his name. And he's getting not just the gold medal, he's getting the Presidential Medal of Freedom. And it was unanimously decided by Donald Trump and his entire team. Because Donald Trump asked the whole team, should we give this goalie, should we give this guy the Presidential Medal of Freedom? And they're all like, yeah, do it, give it to him. Embarrass him in front of everybody. But it was an amazing moment. These are the kinds of things, an amazing moment. And this is what America is all about. That's what the speech was all about. Yes, there were some zingers pointed toward the Democrats. Yes, there were some zingers that Donald Trump came up with. Like when he talked about ending 8 wars. And the Democrats laughed about it. He goes, man, you guys are sick. You guys are just, it was true enthusiasm on the president's part. It wasn't over rehearsed. It wasn't over scripted. It wasn't totally off of the teleprompter, and it wasn't totally ad-libbed. Donald Trump was Donald Trump. He went in there and he had some things he wanted to say, but he reacted the way a human being would react. And if you said, I've ended 8 wars, and people started laughing, you'd be like, man, you're a really sick individual, aren't you? Wait, we have that one here. Hang on.
Our country has never been stronger. In my first 10 months, I ended 8 wars, including Cambodia. Isn't it funny? Sick people. Cambodia and Thailand.
The sick people. You're sick people. I ended 8 wars, and that's funny to you. You're sick people. It was really an amazing time. He was handing out congressional medals of freedom. They got the Medal of Honor. There was a Medal of Honor recipient. The chief warrant officer who was piloting the Chinook that brought all of this was a fascinating story too. Really amazing story, and things that you don't know about because they're top secret and classified until, of course, Donald Trump talks about them on the State of the Union address. But we heard that there were no American fatalities in the operation to extract the president of Venezuela, Nicolas Maduro, aka narco-terrorist Nicolas Maduro, and take him to New York City for, whatever they're doing with him in New York City. We heard there were no American casualties, but there were American injuries. There were people that took fire. And one of them was this guy. His name was Slover. It was Chief Warrant Officer Slover. He was piloting a Chinook, and a Chinook's a big helicopter with lots of troops aboard. And these guys, their job was to get out on the ground, extract Maduro, get back in the helicopter, and leave. And they started shooting at him. He took bullets to the leg, still managed to safely land the helicopter, told his co-pilot, you got to take over, I'm about to pass out. And they were able to get everybody back to safety. He survived, and he was there, and he got the Congressional Medal of Honor.
That I will soon be presenting Connor with our highest civilian honor, which we will be. I would now like to ask General Jonathan Braga to present Chief Warrant Officer Slover with our nation's highest military award, the Congressional Medal of Honor.
Look at that. Look at that. That's another great moment. That's another fantastic moment. He gets the Congressional Medal of Honor. Connor Hellebuck gets the Presidential Medal of Freedom. The guy who survived the shooting, the National Guardsman who survived the shooting, got the Purple Heart, and the family of the girl who was killed from West Virginia also received posthumously a Purple Heart. It was all about America, American might, American military, American pride, American patriotism. For the Democrats, it was all about sitting down. Oh, wait, there was one moment, by the way, that they stood up for. This was the weirdest thing ever. The Democrats they wouldn't stand up for American citizens. They wouldn't stand up to proclaim the government's job is to protect American citizens. They wouldn't stand up for Irina's mom. They wouldn't stand up for anything. But you know what they did stand up for? A ban on congressional stock trading?
As we ensure that all Americans can profit from a rising stock market, let's also ensure that members of Congress cannot corruptly profit from using insider information.
Look at that. Watch, here it comes. JD stands up. Mike Johnson stands up. Elizabeth Warren was actually clapping. I think they show her. No, here it is.
They stood up for that. I can't believe it. I can't believe it. Did Nancy Pelosi stand up if she's here? Doubt it.
That was my favorite. By the way, that was my favorite moment of the whole speech. Donald Trump calling out Nancy Pelosi for insider stock trading. Did Nancy Pelosi stand up? I doubt it. I do too, because she has those ski poles that she needs. But Nancy Pelosi, she was asked about that. She was on CNN for her reaction and specifically to that moment. Listen to this.
There was one moment, Madam Speaker, where he called you out specifically around, of course, congressional stock trading. What do you say back to him?
I say back to him, as that's what members said, look at your own self. The inference he wants to draw is there was something wrong with that, which there wasn't. And if there was, people get prosecuted for it. For a long time now, we've been trying to pass this law It doesn't have, now it has more support than it had before. And
Elizabeth Warren stood up and applauded. Elizabeth Warren stood and applauded tonight when the president talked about it.
Well, we all did. I did too. He said, did Nancy stand up? Yeah, I did too. A lot of people stood up. A lot of Democrats stood up. I think that will pass, depending on what the bill is. I mean, what we had, we thought we could pass. It was actually a tougher bill than Governor Spanberger had put forth. We thought it could pass, but it was clear that it wasn't going to make it to the House and the Senate. But in any event, he gives his shout out. I don't pay any attention to him. What I'm concerned about is our democracy, which he is destroying.
Yeah, I don't know. I tried to find out if Nancy Pelosi stood or not. I couldn't see. There was no camera angle that I could find. I mean, I only had the couple that fun fact, there's only like one crew. There's one camera crew in the arena or in the House chamber. Everybody has to use the same feed. But I couldn't see, there was no confirmation as to whether or not Nancy Pelosi stood up or not. There was no confirmation as to whether or not she was telling the truth about that or not. So we're not 100% sure whether she stood up or not. However, I do know this for a fact, that it would be shocking to me if this thing passed, because a lot of Democrats and a lot of Republicans still are in favor of insider stock trading. Nancy Pelosi has been the kind of and again, Nancy's probably for it now because she made $125 million. She's fine. She's like, yeah, fine. Ban it now. I got my money. She's retiring. She's done at the end of the year. Why does she care? She's not going to be in Congress anymore, so she doesn't care about congressional stock trading. She's got her money. She's old as the hills, and she's going to retire and go back to San Francisco or Italy or wherever she wants to go and live out her days, in a Scrooge McDuck-like vault swimming in money. So she doesn't care. She'll ban it. No problem. She'll vote tomorrow to ban it. The SAVE Act, and that's another thing. And Donald Trump was like, look, we got to fix our voting system. We got to make sure. And he called out, again, John Thune. He called out the Republicans. He called out the Democrats. He called everybody. He said, the only reason the Democrats don't want to pass voter ID, the only reason the Democrats don't want to solidify voter ID is because they want to cheat. He literally said, he goes, there's only one reason why a Democrat wouldn't support the SAVE Act or voter ID. It's because they want to cheat on elections. Joy Behar had something to say about that on The View this morning.
So when he says that, they can't win, the Democrats, unless they cheat, that is a projection. Everybody knows that. That's him. That everybody knows is the Republicans are going to have trouble in November. Yeah, so that is just a projection. And that's why they have to cheat, because they can't win legitimately.
Yeah. Wait a minute. The Republicans have to, she goes, that doesn't make any sense. She goes, he is projecting. He knows that in order for the Republicans to win, they have to cheat. So they're going to have trouble? No. Okay, that doesn't make any sense. The Republicans are going to have trouble in September, so they're going to have to cheat because that's how the Democrats win. It's really wild. John Thune was asked about it this morning. Look, everybody wants this SAVE Act. The Republicans want it. The Democrats cheered for it. Donald Trump basically demanded it. What are you going to do?
And if so, when?
Well, we will. We'll put the Democrats on the record. And it's a stark contrast, Aisha. The Democrats, even in the chamber last night, having to sit there and try and defend allowing non-citizens to vote in American elections. That is a losing proposition for them. So we will get a vote on it. And we are right now in the middle of a government shutdown, so we've got to try and get the government opened up first. But in due time, we will get that up on the floor. We will have a vote on it. We will make sure that the Democrats are on the record. It is a stark contrast between Republicans and Democrats about how they want to handle elections in this country. And this is going to put them, I think, in a very difficult position. It's an issue, if I were running as a Democrat in the midterm elections in November, I wouldn't want to have to defend.
If I were a Democrat running in the elections, I would not want to have to defend. I would not want to have to defend this. I would not want to have to get up there and say, I'm against voter ID. It'd be nice if he got it on the books. Isn't it convenient how there's always something that pops up? There's always some problem they have to get to. Oh, the government shut, the Department of Homeland Security shut down again. We got to open that up first. I mean, fine, but should have never let it close. And now you got to get the SAVE Act up and running. I mean, there's so many problems, self-inflicted wounds that the Senate has created under John Thune. Self-inflicted Thunes, we should call them. that I don't hold out a lot of hope for the SAVE Act. And of course, I don't think it's going to pass if and when they do bring it up for a vote, because you don't have the Republican support. You don't have the Democrat support. And you need 60 votes, or you need to get rid of the filibuster, something I don't believe. I don't believe that John Thune is willing to do. I don't believe that anybody is willing to do on the Democrat side of the aisle until they become the majority. The Republicans are going to sit around and they're going to keep the status quo with the filibuster, knowing full well that the first chance the Democrats get to get rid of it, they're going to get rid of it because they've tried it before. It's one of the most frustrating things in the history of mankind. Almost as frustrating as the Supreme Court and their tariff troubles yesterday. Now, this was also very interesting too, because we knew that the Supreme Court was there. I don't know why only part of the Supreme Court was there, and I don't know why it was the part of the Supreme Court that Donald Trump didn't like. But there was, I want to pull up this clip because there were some lies about the Supreme Court by David Muir. David Muir, who's just awful. David Muir seems like he's a nice guy, seems like he's a fair guy, dresses well, but at the end of the day, he's just a lying lib. And listen to what he says here.
Freeze was seated.
We just saw the president obviously shake the Chief Justice's hand. There's Justice Elena Kagan, Brett Kavanaugh, Amy Coney Barrett. Of course, he chose Amy Coney Barrett for the bench. She was one of the justices who did not vote in his favor and did not shake her hand there.
That's not true.
Did interact with the Chief Justice.
He totally shook her hand. He shook her hand right.
Chief Justices.
Look, right here. This is David Muir lying. He sees Justice John Roberts, who's there, and he shakes his hand. And then, which one is that? That's what's her name? Elena Kagan. And then he goes over to Brett Kavanaugh and shakes his hand. And then right here, bam, he says hello to Amy Coney Barrett. She smiles and he shakes her hand. I mean, it's right there. You can see it. It's right there. And David Muir is out there lying about it, saying that he dissed her.
This is his hand. There's Justice Elena Kagan, Brett Kavanaugh.
He walks by. He heads to the Joint Chiefs.
Of course, he chose Amy Coney Barrett for the bench. She was one of the justices who did not vote in his favor and did not shake her hand there.
All along.
Did interact with the Chief Justice.
Now, again, and I don't know why these are the only justices there. I don't, like Clarence Thomas wasn't there, and Neil Gorsuch wasn't there, Samuel Alito wasn't there. There was only a handful of them there. But Donald Trump did not miss the opportunity to pimp smack them in front of the entire world. He mentioned his domestic policy. He mentioned the tariffs. He mentioned how important it was for tariffs for not just our economy and our economic recovery, but also in our foreign policy and our domestic policy and making sure that we're safe and we're getting treated fairly and making sure that we end wars. He goes, I ended all these wars. One of the big reasons was tariffs. And then the Supreme Court, half of them who were sitting right in front of him, he said they did a bad. He basically just annihilated them in front of God and everybody.
And then just 4 days ago, an unfortunate ruling from the United States Supreme Court. It just came down. It came down. Very unfortunate ruling. But the good news is that almost all countries and corporations want to keep the deal that they already made. Right, Scott? Knowing that the legal power that I, as president, have to make a new deal could be far worse for them, and therefore they will continue to work along the same successful path that we had negotiated before the Supreme Court's unfortunate involvement. So despite the disappointing ruling...
Look at John Roberts. So their unfortunate involvement, and then they panned... The cameraman, by the way, was savage. The cameraman was savage. When he talked about Somali pirates, they zoomed right in on Ilhan Omar. When he talked about transgender surgeries, they found Sarah, a.k.a. Tim McBride, and zoomed in on them. And them, him, her, they, them. And then when they talked about, of course, the unfortunate ruling, they got a close-up, like a close shot on John Roberts. It was perfect.
Ruling, these powerful, country-saving. It's saving our country, the kind of money we're taking in. Peace-protecting. Many of the wars I settled was because of the threat of tariffs. I wouldn't have been able to settle them without. Will remain in place under fully approved and tested alternative legal statutes. and they have been tested for a long time. They're a little more complex, but they're actually probably better, leading to a solution that will be even stronger than before. Congressional action will not be necessary. It's already time-tested and approved. And as time goes by, I believe the tariffs paid for by foreign countries will, like in the past, substantially replace the modern-day system of income tax, taking a great financial burden off the people that I love.
Yeah. That's what, I mean, like who doesn't love that besides the Supreme Court? Income tax. Let's get rid of income tax and let's let the foreign countries pay for all our stuff. Let's get rid of income tax, which was a flawed system to begin with, was supposed to be temporary, and of course, was not. Let's get rid of all that. And let's replace it with something cool like tariffs, which is money that other people pay just to do business here in the United States of America. That makes sense to me. Let's obliterate the IRS. Let's get rid of it all. Let's get rid of this antiquated tax system, which is so horrible for so many people, so complex, and let's replace it with tariffs. So we have all the money we need for all the stuff that we need, and we get to keep all the money we make doing things that we love or working or whatever it is. It's a much better system. It's exactly what Donald Trump's plan has always been, and it's something he was working toward. And the Supreme Court and their unfortunate ruling, he said, maybe did us all a solid. Maybe what happened was the Supreme Court, with their unfortunate ruling, they've now put in place an actual way for us to create tariffs in a more sustained and substantial way, a way that is more solidified and long-term. So even though it was an unfortunate and disappointing ruling and they were derelict in their duties of helping the United States of America and they don't understand the Constitution, it seems like Donald Trump is fine with the way it's going to work out. And at the end of the day, he's going to do everything he can to make sure that that we continue in the right way. Now, there were some other, there were a lot of moments. We could do like 4 hours on this speech because Erica Kirk was there. Erica Kirk, who, I don't know, I'm not going to show this Candace Owens thing, but I know everybody's been lighting Candace Owens up because she's got this documentary, or not even a documentary, I guess it's like an in-depth report, a multi-tier report, in-depth on Erica Kirk, Bride of Charlie, they call it. Everyone's just talking about what a horrible person Candace Owens is, which I'm going to be honest with you, it definitely seems like she's got it in for Erica Kirk. She's not letting it go. Some people say she's a woman scorned, but but Erica Kirk was there. Erica Kirk was there, and they talked about Charlie Kirk, and we talked about his memory, and I turned to my daughter because we were watching the guy. I go, I still can't believe Charlie Kirk got shot. Like, I remember seeing him last year live. Like, he was feet away from me, walking by my booth at TPUSA. Saw him on stage with Megyn Kelly. They were railing on Pam Bondi, which made me laugh. And then he got shot in the neck, and he's dead. And it's one of those weird things that you never thought. You'd have thought Charlie Kirk would be at the State of the Union. You'd have thought maybe in 20 years, Charlie Kirk would be delivering the State of the Union. But it wasn't meant to be. So there was, of course, that moment as well. There were other touching moments with some of the other parents, the Gold Star parents, some of the victims. There was a little girl there who was hit by a trucker who couldn't speak English because they were here illegally. And she was supposed to die, but she fought and she was back. And she was smiling, and she was there with the president and her father. All kinds. It was very similar. Do you remember DJ Daniel? There were a couple of those moments last night. And Donald Trump is really good about that kind of stuff. Donald Trump is really good about taking this speech, which is meant to share with us our American exceptionalism and remind you that we're doing great things and greater things are on the horizon. And to let you know, here is what's happening in this country. And here's how we're going to fix the problems. And here's the problems we've already fixed. And here's what we should all agree on. That this government is here for the United States of America and her citizens. And then to also celebrate the hockey team, the war heroes, the National Guard heroes, the parents of lost loved ones who stood up bravely for this country or were attacked by our enemies. That's what the State of the Union should all be about. And that's exactly what Donald Trump delivered. And that's why it was such a great speech. In fact, everybody, 64% of people loved, everyone who watched it loved it.
Among speech watchers tonight, 64% say his policies will move the U.S. in the right direction. And look at the growth President Trump made over the speech. So pre-speech, it was 54% of speech watchers said his policies will move the U.S. in the right direction. After the speech, that number goes up 10 percentage points. So Donald Trump made some progress with people watching the speech from their pre-speech expectations to what they saw in the speech itself. And that 64% number, that's pretty much in range across all of his State of the Union addresses. In his first term, last year, the joint session, that's about what we've seen, is roughly 2/3 have walked away from his speeches thinking he's going to move it in the right direction.
So a lot of red meat for the base.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. If you're a Republican on the ballot in 2026, I think you leave this speech being as happy as you could possibly be, that he sort of stuck to the script on the economy, he gave red meat to the base on immigration, and they can leave the hall tonight and sort of take that out on the campaign trail.
I'm excited. I'm happy. I thought it was a good speech. I'm ready. I'm ready for the election. I'm ready for 2026. Let's bring it on. And that is exactly what Donald Trump wanted to do. He wanted to set the Republicans up for success. He wanted to set up the primaries and the general election so that the Republicans could retain as many seats as possible, not just for America's good, but for his own good, because he doesn't want to get impeached. And he delivered a speech with a forward-looking agenda, an America First agenda, an agenda of hope and of goodwill and of optimism that we can all look forward to moving into our next chapter. And that is exactly what I think the State of the Union should be. And that's exactly, like we said, what Donald Trump delivered. Now, we're going to be, like I said, out there doing whatever we can do as well. Something happened the other week, though. I haven't really spoken about it, and I wasn't sure if I should speak about it here because, censorship is alive and well. And as we get closer and closer to the election, censorship is going to continue. And I had my account restricted. My Facebook account was restricted. Now I have a very popular Facebook account. I have millions of people who go to my Facebook page every single day, every single week. I mean, if I showed you the stats, you'd just be in awe. And it still is a very important part of our platform. But for whatever reason, it was restricted. And I don't want to get into it here because I don't want it to get further restricted. But I did record a video, and the video explains a couple of things. It explains what happened. It explains kind of why, although I'm not 100% sure. And then it also explains why it doesn't matter to me, because much like what Donald Trump did when he was restricted in 2020, when everyone took him off their platforms and he started Truth Social, I've been spending the past few years building up my own platform as well, and my own platform that I control, that nobody can kick me off of. And it's very important, again, since this is an election year, you know that all forces are going to be working against conservatives. The media, social media, the Democrat Party, there's going to be the school system, various different religious organizations, other countries are going to be all in for the Democrat Party because they hate conservatives because they love America. And even if you think that those days are over, they're not. If you would like to watch the video, see what happened, and learn how you can protect yourself from it, which is very important too. The learning how to protect yourself from it is very important as well. I put it up on my website. It's markk.com/OS. markk.com/OS. We'll put that in the show notes, and maybe we'll put that, hopefully someone can pop that up in the comments. But wherever you are, you can go take some time to watch. It's pretty long because I talk a lot, but it basically describes what happened to me, how I protected myself against it, and of course, most importantly, how you can protect yourself against it too, especially if you're a business owner or if you're somebody who uses any platform. And it doesn't have to be Facebook. It could be YouTube. It could be, we've all been attacked by all the platforms. Even LinkedIn. I always tell the story about how I got kicked off of LinkedIn. I am so conservative that I got kicked off of LinkedIn. And so I created this video. You can go to markk.com/OS and it'll explain exactly what happened. Here's the video. It'll explain exactly what happened. It'll explain exactly how you can keep it from happening to you. And again, if you're a business owner who uses social media, you're going to need to know about this. And if you would like to book a call, I'll actually help you install the same system that I have and that I use. And this is something that I've built my entire media platform on. And again, we even got canceled by the actual media. The radio station I worked for, the radio group I worked for, thought that I was too conservative. They repeatedly told me, you talk about Donald Trump too much. This was before he was reelected. Nobody who cares about Donald Trump, they would say, talk about something else. And I was like, well, I'll be honest with you, 75 million Americans seem to care about President Donald Trump. He was the number one story, but they were trying to throttle my conservatism. They didn't want me talking about making America great again. They didn't want me talking about Donald Trump because they were liberals. They were Hollywood liberals. They were Chicago liberals. They were these rich liberals who owned a bunch of conservative talk stations, but hated them. So what happened was they released me, and that's really when this became part of my media platform, my media empire. And if you do any kind of promotion online, I would urge you to take some time to go to mark.com/OS, watch the video. And if you want to install my system into your business as well, there's a button there, big blue button. It says apply for private authority installation. You can click that button and we can actually hop on a call and I can walk you through it, which is something, like I said, I would urge everyone to do. And if you're listening to the podcast, mark.com/OS, the letter O, the letter S, and it'll show you my operating system, which is able to beat the algorithms and protect my online comings and goings, which is something that, again, is very, very important for everybody, especially since we are in an election year, because you never know what's going to happen. You might post a photo like this of a guy standing in the State of the Union holding a sign that says "Black people rent apes," and the next thing you know, you're canceled. I'll be honest with you, I'm a little shocked. I didn't get canceled for it either. Listen, thank you so much for joining me today. What a fun recap of the State of the Union. What an amazing speech, and what an optimistic time we have moving forward. I truly believe that our greatest days are ahead of us. I truly believe that we are moving forward with vim and vigor and excitement. I truly believe that we are on the brink of true American exceptionalism like we haven't seen in a very long time, and that we are going to continue to grow, that we are going to continue to thrive, and that everything Donald Trump laid out in his speech will be coming our way. But it is up to us to keep listening, to keep learning, to keep voting the right way, to keep inspired, to keep enlightened, to keep optimistic, to keep entertained, to keep pushing each other, and to keep sharp so that we can and will fight, so we can save the Republic.